Hey, what's up, people? It's TTC. Took a little break over Christmas, but now I'm back to bring you my list of my favourite figures that I bought over 2024. To be clear, they're not necessarily all figures released in 2024, but just my favourite things that I've bought over the last 12 months. There's some old, some new, some borrowed, some blue. Definitely some really cool stuff. And one big bastard I'm going to save right until the end. So let's do it. In no particular order, we're going to start off with the Marvel Legends Grey Hulk and Bruce Banner 2-pack. This was released as part of the anniversary wave. Can't really remember which anniversary now. 80th? Probably the kind of thing I should have googled before I started filming, but guess what? Not doing it now. Honestly, I probably would have preferred to buy Green Hulk. Just not really a fan of any of the ones that Hasbro have put out. I've sort of avoided buying one for the last couple of years, just not the biggest fan of a lot of the face sculpts, really. Hasbro seem to do a lot of like retro, older style faces. I'd prefer something a bit more modern. Each to their own, they're just not really for me. I was fine just waiting for them to release a green one that I was happy with. But then I seen this 2-pack for sale at Game for just 25 quid. Caught my attention. My wife will definitely tell you I'm a big fan of not spending money when I can. 25 quid for a 2-pack, you know, it's about as much as a single figure. So Bruce on his own would cost about how much? Basically a free Hulk. But wait, by the time I got to checkout, for some reason it had gone down to 20 quid. Boom! So let's take a look at Banner first, because let's face it, he's not exactly the star of the show here, is he? Head to toe, you know, he's a pretty decent figure. Bit plain, but for someone who's just going to stand there, not really going to do any crazy poses or anything, it's pretty good. I know this look is taken from some specific comic. I can't remember it right now. I can picture it in my mind and everything, but I'm still not going to do any research because... The definite negative, Hasbro still do all their suited figures with these weird skinny legs. They never want to stand up properly. Most of the time they want to squeeze together like this. You tend to get it with a lot of figures that use this mould. Obviously he ain't going to stand up like that, so you've got to sort of spread them out a little bit. And they're still doing these weird tiny little flat feet. Do have peg holes on the bottom, but they're so shallow that they're just completely useless. He did do a good job of his lab coat. Obviously it's just a plain white coat, but it does the job. He did a decent job of it. The best part about this is definitely this head sculpt. I've had quite a few figures over the years who wear glasses, and let's face it, they're always really badly done. They're either tiny, fragile little things that don't even fit on the face, or they end up being massive, chunky things. We all remember that Marvel Legends Peter Parker. Ugh. But no, they did about as good a job as they can at this scale, really. As a glasses wearer myself, I appreciate this. I feel seen. Which is ironic because I'm blind as hell. The actual head itself, obviously really well done. I don't know though, it's got kind of like a more modern, cartoony, stylized kind of style to it. Doesn't really go with the rest. Still definitely really well done. I just don't really see this version of Bruce Banner. Thinking about it, I think this would probably make a pretty good Peter Parker actually. On to the big man himself, got Grey Hulk here. Comes with a set of alternate grabbing hands for holding the sort of bent metal pipe accessory that he comes with. And he's got a sort of ripped up orange shirt that goes over him, I'm never going to use. Then there's this alternate head, but I don't know, he looks pretty damn bored if you ask me. Not my preferred head sculpt for Hulk. Don't know what you think, but for me, it's pretty obvious you got to go with the more angry looking one. I like that with all the teeth showing. I really like the sculpt of all the musculature on the body of this one. Everything's obviously all tense and strained, it goes with the angry look on his face. The articulation works really well with the sculpt. Obviously we've seen this body a million times before. The pants look good, but it would have been nice to get just a little bit of dry brush around all these ripped edges here like they do sometimes. I think they chose a really nice shade of grey. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but there is sort of almost just a little tint of green to it. It's quite subtle, but it's definitely there and I really like it. It's definitely quite heavy too. Like if someone breaks in your house, just throw this at them, you'll be sweet. For the price I paid and a decent placeholder for a Hulk, definitely very happy with these. Next up, we got the Dragon Ball Dragon Stars Goku and Vegeta from Bandai. My wife actually just bought me these for Christmas, so they just squeaked onto the 2024 list. Now, I'm not exactly the biggest Dragon Ball fan in the world, I definitely like it. Growing up in the 90s, I watched Dragon Ball Z and GT, I always thought they were pretty cool. Played a load of the video games on the PS2, and I had a couple of the old Irwin action figures. I guess I'm trying to say, I like Dragon Ball, I'm not a Dragon Ball guy. I like it, but it's not my thing. You know, everybody's got their thing, it's just not necessarily mine. I only actually just recently discovered the Dragon Stars line, even though it's been around a few years now. I'd always see them in shops when I'm walking around town or whatever and thought, yeah, they look pretty good. I've been tempted to pick them up a couple of times. So when I was asked what I wanted for Christmas, and I didn't really have any other ideas, I thought, yeah, now's the time to dip my toe in. See what they're like. I'm very happy I did, to be honest. They look tons better than the figures I had as a kid, who never looked anything like who they were supposed to be. They're also good quality, but way cheaper than Figure Arts, which I'm definitely happy about. They're obviously high-end, really good. I just can't afford to go down that rabbit hole, way too expensive. They both come with their own fist hands and some open hands, and as you can see from here, I have bought a couple more since then and they all go in this little bag. Would have been nice to get some kind of effects or something, but for 20 quid each, maybe that's asking a bit too much. I might 3D print some energy blasts or something, a couple of little Dragon Balls should be pretty easy. We'll have a look at Goku first. I'm actually really quite happy with him. Like, without spending import or Figure Arts money, what really more could you ask for? It looks exactly like him, poses pretty well, the hair sculpt is pretty spot on. The only real thing, and I've heard it from other people too, is the faces. I mean, they're definitely good enough, they look like who they're meant to be, but they're just not quite spot on. Definitely not complaining, but it could be slightly better. I suppose the hip articulation is definitely quite annoying. It doesn't come out, it goes down and off to the side, even when you pull down that drop down hip. I've got maybe 5 or 6 figures from this line now, and every one of them, if you squeeze too hard when you pick the legs up, the hip just pops straight out at the ball joint. It's an easy fix, obviously. You just squeeze it back in and there you go. Just very easily clicks back in again, but I suppose it's kind of a pain in the ass being careful with them when you pick them up. And then we got Super Saiyan Vegeta, which I think is from the Broly movie. That's why he's got the darker blue and the sort of grey armour. I actually really like this look, and this figure. Vegeta's always been my favourite character. Same as Goku, the face is really good, it's just not quite there, but definitely more than good enough, especially with the hair sculpt, and it looks really cool in this translucent yellow plastic. Definitely well sculpted when it comes to proportions. They've done a really good job of getting his short, stocky anatomy down. Scaling wise is obviously a bit smaller, which is good. They both definitely work really well together. Same problem with the hips, you pull it out and it'll shoot off to the side and then... Well, I'm just pointing these things out for the sake of information, they don't really bother me that much. As long as it looks like who it's meant to be, it looks cool standing on a display, then I'm happy enough. These have definitely reignited my interest in Dragon Ball. In the last week or so I've gone and bought a couple more from this line. First thing I did was find a Super Saiyan Goku and a Baseball and Vegeta just to go with these two. They were a fun present to receive, decent price to buy, so yeah, very happy with these. So last year ended up being the first time that I really experimented with buying 3 3/4 figures. Even as a kid, I always preferred 6-inch. Never really liked my little tiny Hasbro Star Wars figures, so when they brought out Black Series, even though I was an adult by then, I was definitely quite happy about that. But I decided this year I wanted to start a Clone Wars collection. Absolutely no chance in hell could I afford all the clones and all the droids I wanted in 6-inch. Plus then I'd have to find all the space to keep them all in. Wasn't really doable for me. So I just decided, yeah, you know what, let's do it. I'm going to buy all the smaller ones. Started off with just little Captain Rex here, because, you know, he's the coolest. And then it sort of spiraled. Even this is just a handful of the ones I could be bothered bringing down. Maybe I went a little bit mad, but you know, if you're going to army build, clones are the best ones for it. Believe it or not, despite them all being basically the same figure, I do actually have a favourite, and it is this guy, Phase 1 Commander Wolf. Ask me who my favourite actual clone is, and yeah, it's probably Rex, but who looks the coolest? Definitely Wolf. And I'm pretty sure it's on purpose, he's definitely designed to look cool. Every little boy knows that wolves are pretty cool animals. He's got a scar on his face. Scars are cool. Chicks dig scars. He's got the 2 pistols. Dual wielding's pretty cool. I just love the design on his armour and everything. I think they did a really good job of this for such a tiny basic figure. Comes with his little DL 11, 15 rifle. Who cares, man? I can't remember. And then yeah, his 2 little pistols. I think these are DC 17, 15. Look, right. At one time I did know all the names of all these different blasters in Star Wars. Just remembered he come with a little rocket launcher too. Am I going to find it now? Am I? Balls. I bought a lot of these clones second hand, so I've seen a lot of chip paint and a lot of yellowing in this middle area here. This was second hand too, but he's really clean. I'm really happy. I bought him for cheap too. He seems to be around about 30 quid on eBay. I got him for, I think it was 15. Which, as a usual 6-inch collector, still seems like a lot of money for such a tiny little guy. Such a small amount of plastic. I've had to sort of adjust my brain to the pricing a bit. I think the helmet is really well done. It's all super crisp and neat. Would have been nice for the rangefinder to articulate, but doesn't do it on any of them. As you can see, it's a little bit warped. That's because it's a softer, sort of squishy plastic, so that it can be removed. Some of the faces on these clone figures are a little bit hit and miss, but I think this is really well done. His sort of square jawline and his flat top little military haircut. In that deep sort of nasty looking scar over his eye. It all just looks really cool. I was originally looking to buy the Phase 2 of Wolf, but I found this guy first. I'm pretty happy with it. When they're all standing together on the shelf, for whatever reason, he just stands out. So with that, and the price I got him for, very happy. So this last thing I'm going to show, it may very well be my favourite thing I've ever bought. It is huge. Don't actually know if it's going to fit on here. Gonna have to step back a bit, be creative with some camera angles. Let's do it. Alright, let's see how well we can do this. It's the Hasbro Clone Wars AT-TE Walker. I love this thing. As you can see, the review station is pretty big and it barely fits in here. There's a definite benefit of buying 3 3/4 figures. You get a lot more vehicles and playsets. I've also bought a couple of Jedi Starfighters, a couple of the tanks, a droid tank, different walkers, but you're definitely not getting a walker like this in 6-inch. I do actually have the Black Series TIE Fighter, and I love it. I think it's really cool, but it just sits in my bedroom. I literally have nowhere else to fit it, whereas this guy takes pride of place right on top of my bookshelf. I just love this thing. Look at it, it is so damn cool. Couple of cons really, which are quite common, is these middle legs here are quite loose. They fall off pretty easily, makes it kind of hard to stand up. I'm going to try not to move it here as much as possible because they will just fall off and then it'll just go flat down. Looking on eBay for these, sort of brand new, probably around about 200 quid, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. I got this guy for 70. Mostly because when he sent it to me, it was filthy, mate. He'd left it in his attic for years and it was absolutely coated with dust and all these little creases here and everything. Took me a good, probably solid day of scrubbing it to get it clean. It's obviously missing the missiles from the front and this big cannon at the top. I'm not really too fussed about that. I might 3D print another one, but I kind of like how it looks like that. These 3 buttons here in the middle, they do like different sounds like guns firing and lines from the show. I tried it to make sure it works, but I don't need them. They also control this gun on top. I don't know if this is the right guy to be set up here, but at least it looks cool. And here's the cockpit, which I've only just about got enough space to open here. And there you go, that's hard case inside. It's obviously not quite to scale because this should be a 2-person seater rather than this guy just standing up. But if it was literally to scale, it really would be massive. Nice feature is you can open up these side panels and they flap down to show you these chairs inside. I have tried seating a few clones in there, but the problem is they don't quite fit. There's not quite enough clearance here for the feet. But you can wedge them in and make it work, sort of. Now I said I'll have to try not to move it, but I'm going to have to for this. So around the back now to show off what I think is the coolest feature. I also just really like the back of this tank. It looks sort of like a chameleon's face or something. You press this big button here, the sides open, the back sort of got a slow release. Although it's going a bit slower than usual. Let's give it a hand. Come on. And it comes down to this sort of ramp with stairs that lead all the way up to the back. And there's even more clones in there. It's missing some of the like little handrails that are supposed to go in here, but honestly, I don't really care about that. It's closed most of the time. Some little racks at the side for weapon storage, which is good because when you buy a lot of these clones you end up with loads of just loose guns everywhere. It's a nice little way to store them. This sticker on the back has survived all these years and it looks good. Don't know what it is. Some kind of washing machine. And if you just leave the sides open, you've got places for them to lean out the sides and fire. There's loads of stuff you could do with this. I would have absolutely loved this as a kid. It would have been well fun to play with. Just hours of fun playing pew pew against the droids. There is a fix for these loose legs. It involves just putting a piece of rubber inside here. I have done it on this side and it mostly helps. I just need to get some more to do the other side. Definitely one of the coolest things I've ever bought. Definitely the biggest thing I've ever bought. So there you go, that's some of the best things I've bought this year. Obviously I bought quite a bit more than just this, but these are the ones I wanted to show off. Spent a fair amount of money just on loads of little clones. I kind of feel a bit stupid because they're all very similar, but that's what collecting is, isn't it? You just spend money on stupid shit and it makes you happy. Now I've got the fun job of getting that ATTE back on top of the bookshelf without dropping it. That'll be fun. Done with my little Christmas break now, so I will be back on posting more and more videos. Don't forget to like this video, comment and subscribe. Still only a new channel, but we're very slowly just bumping up those subscribers, so I must be doing something right. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.